The Horizon reached Earth orbit in record time, burning fuel reserves that would take months to replace. Noah watched through the viewport as the blue planet grew larger. Earth looked peaceful from space, unaware of the alien pursuit ship following them. "We have clearance to dock at the United Earth Science Division Station," Captain Green announced. "They're expecting us and our guest." Noah helped Lyra prepare for arrival. Her purple skin and silver hair would draw attention, but the science. Station housed researchers from across the solar system, so unusual appearances weren't uncommon. "Will your people help me?" Lyra asked, her voice small and unsure. "Some will," Noah replied honestly. "Others might see you as a diplomatic problem. The Vicarians will demand your return." Lyra touched the glowing markers on her neck. "These will never let me be free. Wherever I go, they will find me." The docking procedure finished with a gentle bump. Security officers met them at the airlock, along with a woman in a white lab coat. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and she had intelligent eyes that missed nothing. "Dr. Campbell, I'm Dr. Olivia Martinez," she said, extending her hand. "I've reviewed your preliminary findings about our visitor." "Fascinating stuff." Noah shook her hand. "Thanks for the quick clearance. We don't have much time." Olivia studied Lyra with professional interest, but not unkindness. "The genetic markers you described are unlike anything we've developed. I've prepared a lab for us." They hurried through the station to a large laboratory filled with advanced equipment. Screens displayed Lyra's DNA structure and rotating 3D models. The artificial markers glowed red throughout the genetic strands. "The markers follow a mathematical pattern," Olivia explained as she worked. "If we remove one, the pattern rebuilds itself from the remaining markers. It's like a self-healing network." Noah leaned closer to the display. "Can we disrupt the entire pattern at once?" "Not without killing her," Olivia said. "The markers have integrated too deeply into her cellular structure." Lyra sat quietly on an examination table. "My people have tried for generations to remove the markers. Those who came close died in agony." Noah brought up a comparison between Lyra's DNA and human samples. "Look at this reaction," he said, pointing to where the two genetic materials interacted. "The markers try to replicate in human DNA but can't establish the same pattern. Something in our genetic structure actively resists." Olivia's eyes widened. "You're right. It's like an immune response, but at the genetic level." A call came through on the lab's communication system. A stern-faced man appeared on screen. "Dr. Martinez, this is Director Alan Porter. A Vicarian diplomatic vessel has entered orbit. They're demanding the return of what they call living property, specifically the alien female you're harboring." Lyra trembled. "They found me." "What did you tell them?" Olivia asked. "Nothing yet," Porter replied. "But they're offering considerable technology and trade agreements in exchange. The Economic Council is already pushing for negotiations." Noah stepped forward. "Director, this is Dr. Noah Campbell. Lyra is a refugee seeking asylum. Her people are genetically enslaved. We can't return her to that." Porter frowned. "I understand your concern, Dr. Campbell, but this is now a diplomatic matter. The Vicarians claim she's valuable property, bred for specific purposes." "I wasn't bred for just any purpose," Lyra spoke up. "I was created to be harvested. My genetic material is used in longevity treatments for Vicarian elites." A heavy silence filled the room. Porter looked uncomfortable. "I'll delay them as long as possible. But prepare for the possibility that we may have to comply with their demands." The screen went dark. Noah turned to Olivia. "We need to work faster. What if we use human DNA sequences to disrupt the marker pattern?" Olivia considered this. A gene therapy using modified human DNA might work. The markers can't establish themselves in human genetic structures. They work through the night, testing combinations of human DNA with Lyra's cells. Most tests failed, with the cells dying quickly. But a few showed promise. With the markers beginning to fade before the cells collapsed. In the early morning, Noah made a discovery. "It's the junk DNA," he said excitedly. "The non-coding regions of human DNA contain sequences that actively disrupt the Vicarian markers, Olivia looked up from her microscope. Junk DNA? The parts we thought were useless leftover evolutionary code? Exactly, Noah said. What if humans encountered something like these markers before in our evolutionary past? What if we developed defenses against genetic manipulation? Lyra watched them with growing hope. Can you use this to help? Me? Maybe, Noah said. But we'd need to create a therapy using these specific human DNA sequences, and it would require a direct DNA donor compatible with your alien biology. They tested samples from dozens of people on the station. Most were completely incompatible. With Lyra's alien cells, a few showed weak compatibility, but the cells still died quickly. Let me test my own DNA, Noah suggested after another failed attempt. Olivia took a sample of his blood and ran the compatibility test. The computer beeped in confirmation. It's a match, she said, surprised. Your DNA shows a 78% compatibility rate with Lyra's cells. That's the highest we've seen by far. Noah looked at the results. Then I'll be the donor. How do we proceed? The extraction process isn't simple, Olivia warned. We need large amounts of specific DNA sequences from your bone marrow and stem cells. It's painful and carries risks. I'll do it, Noah said without hesitation. Before they could begin, security alarms blared throughout the station. Olivia checked the alert on her tablet and paled. The Vicarian ship just docked. They've sent a delegation to collect Lyra, and Director Porter has approved their request. Noah looked at Lyra, whose face showed pure terror. We need to hide you, he said. Where? She asked. They can sense my markers across great distances. Olivia grabbed a syringe and a vial of blue liquid. This is an experimental marker suppressor. It might buy us a few hours. She injected it into Lyra's arm. I have a friend who works in the lower labs. She can hide you while we figure something out. Security officers were already approaching the lab. Noah could hear their boots in the corridor. Go with Olivia, he told Lyra. I'll create a distraction and meet you later. Lyra grabbed his hand. Why are you helping me? Your people could gain much by giving me to the Vicarians. Noah looked at her glowing markers, evidence of generations of slavery written into her very cells. Because on Earth we believe all intelligent beings deserve freedom. And because I think there's a reason your ship found us specifically. Something in human DNA holds the key to freeing your people. As Olivia led Lyra through a back exit, Noah prepared to face the approaching security team and the Vicarian representatives. He knew he was risking his career and possibly more, but the thought of returning Lyra to genetic slavery was unthinkable. Somewhere in his own DNA might lie the salvation for an entire enslaved species, and he wasn't going to let that hope die. Noah faced the security team at the lab entrance with a calm he did not feel inside. 4 officers in blue uniforms stood alongside 2 tall aliens with pale gray skin and sharp features. The Vicarians wore elaborate dark uniforms with glowing symbols that looked similar to the markers on Lyra's skin. Dr. Campbell, said the lead security officer, these representatives from the Vicarian Empire wish to speak with you about the alien you brought to Earth. The taller Vicarian stepped forward. I am Commander Krell. You have our property. Where is the Sethri female? Noah crossed his arms. Earth doesn't recognize sentient beings as property. Lyra has requested asylum. Krell's yellow eyes narrowed. The Sethri are a created species, designed by our scientists thousands of years ago. They exist to serve. This one is particularly valuable, part of a special genetic line. Created or not, she's a thinking being with rights, Noah argued. She's not here anyway. She was transferred to another facility. The second Vicarian touched a device on his wrist. It glowed with the same pattern as Lyra's markers. We can sense her genetic signature on this station. Your lies are pointless. Director Porter arrived, looking nervous. Dr. Campbell, we need to cooperate with our visitors. The trade agreements they're offering could advance Earth technology by decades. At the cost of returning a refugee to slavery, Noah replied. Is that what Earth stands for now? Porter frowned. We've scheduled an official hearing for tomorrow morning. Until then, all research on the Sethri female is suspended. Dr. Campbell, you're confined to your quarters." The security team escorted Noah away. As they passed the supply closet, the lights in the corridor suddenly went out. In the darkness, someone pulled Noah inside the closet. When the emergency lights came on seconds later, Noah was gone. "This way," whispered Olivia, leading him through maintenance tunnels. "The station AI is helping us. It's routing security away from our path." They reached a small lab deep in the engineering section. Lyra sat on a table while a young woman in an engineering uniform scanned her with a handheld device. "Noah, this is Kate," Olivia said. "She's helping us hide Lyra's marker signature." Kate nodded. "The suppressor is working, but not for long. Those Vicarian trackers are very sensitive." Noah looked at Lyra. "How are you feeling?" "Weak," she admitted. "The suppressor makes it hard to breathe." Noah turned to Olivia. "We need to start the DNA extraction. There's no time to wait for the hearing." "I've already prepared everything," Olivia said, pointing to a medical bed with equipment surrounding it. "But Noah, you should know the risks. The amount of DNA material we need could cause serious damage to your system." "I understand," Noah said, removing his lab coat. "Let's do it." As Noah lay on the bed, Olivia prepared a large needle. "I need to extract bone marrow from your hip. It will hurt." Noah nodded, gripping the sides of the bed as Olivia inserted the needle. The pain was intense, like fire spreading through his bones. Sweat beaded on his forehead as Olivia drew out the marrow. After she finished, she connected in 4 to his arm. "This will filter your blood to collect stem cells," she explained. "It takes longer, but hurts less." While the machines worked, Kate kept monitoring the station's security feeds. "The Vicarians are using their trackers to search level by level. They'll reach us in about 2 hours. Lyra watched Noah with concern. "You're suffering for me." "Why?" Noah managed a weak smile through his pain. "Because what's happening to you and your people is wrong. And because humans have always fought against slavery. It's in our history, our literature, our moral code. In your DNA too, it seems," Olivia added, checking the collection containers. "The markers can't establish themselves in human genetic code. Something actively fights them off." Noah thought about this as the machine hummed. What if humans were marked like this once, long ago? What if we evolved defenses? Olivia looked thoughtful. Earth has myths about ancient visitors, gods who created or modified humans. Most scientists dismiss them as primitive explanations for natural events. "Maybe some myths contain truth," Noah suggested. "Maybe someone tried to mark humans long ago and we developed resistance." The extraction process continued for another hour. Noah grew paler as more of his genetic material was harvested. Finally, Olivia removed the needles and helped him sit up. "We have enough," she said, holding up containers of bone marrow and a bag of filtered stem cells. "I've never seen anyone stay conscious through that much extraction." Noah stood shakily. "How long to prepare the therapy?" "At least 3 hours," Olivia said. "And there's no guarantee it will work." An alarm sounded on Kate's monitor. "They've changed search patterns. They're heading straight for us." Someone must have talked. Olivia quickly began processing Noah's genetic material, separating the specific sequences they needed. Noah, despite his weakness, helped prepare the gene therapy solution. "We need to move," Kate urged. "They'll be here in 20 minutes. Olivia looked at the unfinished therapy. "It's not ready. We need more time," Noah thought quickly. "The old mining facility, the one they shut down last year? The thick rock walls might block the tracker signals." Kate nodded. "I can get us there through the maintenance tunnels." "But you're in no condition to move, Noah." "I'll manage," he insisted. Though he could barely stand, they packed the essential equipment and Lyra helped support Noah as they moved through the narrow tunnels. Every step was agony for him, but he kept going. Behind them they could hear the sounds of the Vicarian search team. After what seemed like hours, they reached the abandoned mining facility. The power was off, but Kate quickly connected portable generators to the essential equipment. The facility had been used to test mining operations in low gravity, with thick walls to contain any accidents. The rock should help mask Lyra's markers, Olivia said as she set up her equipment. But the suppressor is wearing off. We don't have much time. Noah lay on a table, too weak to help anymore. The massive extraction had taken its toll. His skin was gray and his breathing shallow. Lyra sat beside him, concern in her violet eyes. "You might die helping me," she said softly. "Some things are worth dying for," Noah replied. "Freedom is one of them." Olivia worked frantically to complete the gene therapy, combining Noah's DNA sequences with synthetic carriers that would deliver them to Lyra's cells. Outside, in the station quarters, the Vicarian trackers moved closer. It was a race against time, with Lyra's freedom and possibly the future of her entire species hanging in the balance. Noah closed his eyes, conserving his strength. What they were attempting had never been done before. Human DNA spliced with alien genes to break a chain of slavery that had lasted for generations. If it worked, it wouldn't just save Lyra. It could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The abandoned mining facility was cold and dark, with only the portable lights casting long shadows on the walls. Olivia worked quickly at a makeshift lab bench while Kate kept watch at the entrance. Noah drifted in and out of consciousness on a cot they had found in the old workers' quarters. The DNA extraction had weakened him severely. Lyra sat beside Noah, placing a cool cloth on his forehead. His skin felt hot to the touch, his body fighting to replace what had been taken. "The therapy is almost ready," Olivia said, looking up from her work, "but I'm worried about the delivery method. We need to get these modified DNA sequences into every cell in your body, Lyra, on Earth. We use viral vectors for gene therapy, but I don't know if they'll work with your physiology." Lyra touched the glowing markers on her skin. "The Vicarians use injection points at the base of the skull and along the spine when they modify our genetics. The markers spread from there." Olivia nodded. "That makes sense. Those areas have direct access to cerebrospinal fluid, which can carry the therapy throughout your nervous system and then to other cells." Noah stirred and opened his eyes. "How close are they?" he asked, his voice weak. "Too close," Kate replied from her position by the door. "I can hear their tracker devices. The rock is interfering with the signal, but they're searching systematically. We have maybe 30 minutes. Lyra looked afraid. "If they find me, they'll kill all of you for interfering with Vicarian property." Olivia filled several syringes with a pale blue liquid. "This is it. The therapy is ready, but Noah, it might kill her. We haven't had time to test it properly." Noah tried to sit up but couldn't find the strength. "Lyra, it's your decision. The risk is yours to take." Lyra squared her shoulders. "I choose freedom, even if it means death. My people have lived as property for too long," Olivia instructed. Lyra to lie face down on the table. She cleaned the back of Lyra's neck and along her spine with antiseptic. "I'll inject the therapy at 5 points. It will hurt." Lyra nodded, gripping the edges of the table. Olivia carefully inserted the first needle at the base of Lyra's skull. Lyra gasped in pain but remained still. One by one, Olivia made the remaining injections along Lyra's spine. When she finished, Lyra was trembling. "How long until we know if it works?" Noah asked. "If her body accepts the therapy, we should see the markers begin to fade within an hour," Olivia replied. "If it rejects it, ... She didn't finish the sentence. They all knew what failure would mean. For 20 minutes, they waited in tense silence. Lyra's breathing became labored and her purple skin took on a grayish tinge. The markers on her skin began to pulse, glowing brighter then dimmer in a strange rhythm. "Her body is fighting the therapy," Olivia said, checking Lyra's vital signs with a portable scanner. Temperature rising, heart rate elevated. Noah forced himself to stand, swaying on his feet. "What can we do?" Before Olivia could answer, Kate hissed a warning from the door. "They're here!" A Vicarian and 2 security officers just entered the main tunnel. Olivia looked at Lyra, who was now shivering violently. "We can't move her. The therapy is at a critical stage." Noah made a decision. "Kate, help me. I need to get to the entrance." Kate supported Noah as they moved toward the door. What are you planning? A distraction, Noah said. Give me your security badge. Kate hesitated, then handed it over. Noah took a deep breath, gathering what little strength he had left. Keep Lyra safe. Make sure the therapy has time to work. Before they could stop him, Noah slipped out the door and into the tunnel. He could hear the Vicarians approaching, their voices echoing off the stone walls. Using Kate's badge, he accessed a side passage and made his way toward the noise. Commander Krell and 2 Earth security officers appeared around a bend in the tunnel. Noah stepped into their path, holding up his hands. I'm Dr. Noah Campbell, he said. I'm the one you want. I took the Sethri female. Krell's yellow eyes narrowed. Where is she? Our trackers show her signal in this facility, but it's distorted. I moved her, Noah lied. I transferred her to a shuttle in the emergency bay. If you hurry, you can catch it before it leaves orbit. One of the security officers grabbed Noah's arm. You're under arrest for obstruction, Dr. Campbell. Krell studied Noah carefully. You're lying. You're too weak to have moved her far. And you've been with her recently. I can sense trace markers on you. Krell activated his wrist device. It glowed with the same pattern as Lyra's markers. Interesting. You've undergone genetic extraction. You're trying to create a therapy to remove our property markers. Noah said nothing, but his silence was confirmation enough. It won't work, Krell said with certainty. The markers are designed to fight any attempt at removal. Hundreds of Sethri have died trying what you're attempting. Take us to her, and I might spare your life. Never, Noah replied. Krell nodded to the security officers. Search the facility. She's here somewhere. Back in the makeshift lab, Olivia watched in horror as Lyra began to convulse. The markers on her skin were glowing, bright red, as she was gasping for air. Her system is rejecting the therapy, Olivia said, frantically checking her equipment. The markers are fighting back, attacking her own cells. We need something to help her body accept the human DNA. Kate looked at the equipment they had brought. Would a blood transfusion help? Direct introduction of human cells with the resistant DNA? Olivia's eyes widened. It might. The therapy provides the blueprint, but a transfusion could give her body the raw materials it needs to implement it. But we'd need Noah's blood. His is the only compatible type. They heard voices in the tunnel outside. The search party was getting closer. I'll find Noah, Kate said, moving toward the door. You keep Lyra alive. Kate slipped into the tunnel, following the sounds of voices. She found Noah being held by the security officers while Krell questioned him. The therapy isn't working, she whispered to Noah when she managed to get close. Olivia needs your blood. Noah understood immediately. He suddenly collapsed to his knees, clutching his chest. I need a doctor, he gasped. My heart. The security officers looked alarmed. One of them called for medical assistance, while the other loosened his grip on Noah. He's too valuable to lose, Krell said. He knows where the Sethri is. Take him to the medical bay. As they helped Noah to his feet, he suddenly twisted free and ran down the tunnel with strength born of desperation. Kate followed, leading the way back to the hidden lab. Behind them, Krell and the officers gave chase. They burst into the lab, sealing the door behind them. Olivia looked up in surprise. Lyra lay still on the table, her breathing shallow and erratic. She's dying, Olivia said. The markers are winning, Noah staggered to Lyra's side. Prepare for a direct transfusion, my blood to hers. Olivia quickly connected tubes between Noah's arm and Lyra's. Noah's blood, already depleted from the earlier extraction, began flowing into Lyra's veins. Outside, Krell and the security team began trying to force the door open. The metal creaked under their efforts. This is our last chance, Noah said, watching his blood flow through the tube. If this doesn't work, nothing will. Lyra's eyes fluttered open briefly. She looked at Noah and whispered something in her own language that the translator didn't catch. Then her eyes closed again as Noah's blood continued to flow into her body, carrying with it the human DNA that might be her only hope for freedom. The door to the lab buckled under the force of the Vicarian attack. Noah felt lightheaded as his blood continued to flow into Lyra, but he refused to stop the transfusion. Olivia watched the monitors anxiously while Kate tried to reinforce the failing door. How much longer? Kate asked, bracing a metal rod against the door. I don't know, Olivia replied. The markers are still fighting the human DNA. It's like watching a war inside her cells. Noah held Lyra's hand, which felt unusually warm. Her purple skin had taken on a pinkish tone in places, especially around the marker patterns. The glowing symbols pulsed erratically, sometimes bright, sometimes almost fading away. With a final crash, the door gave way. Commander Krell strode in, followed by the security officers. They stopped short at the site before them. Step away from our property, Krell ordered. What you're doing is a violation of Vicarian law. Noah didn't move. She's not your property. No intelligent being should be property. Krell raised his wrist device, aiming it at Lyra. This Sethri is genetically marked. By galactic treaty? That makes her ours. I can terminate her functions with a single command. Do that, Olivia said boldly, and you'll destroy valuable property. Look at her markers. Krell glanced at Lyra and frowned. The markers on her skin were changing, some fading while others flared brightly and then dimmed. His wrist device beeped with warning signals. What have you done? He demanded. We've given her a choice, Noah said weakly, the blood loss taking its toll. Something your empire never did. On the table, Lyra suddenly convulsed. Her back arched and a cry escaped her lips. The markers on her skin glowed brilliantly, almost blindingly. Bright, then began to fade one by one. Krell stepped forward in alarm. Stop this! You're destroying Imperial property. One of the security officers drew his weapon, but the other held up a hand. Wait, this isn't our jurisdiction anymore. Earth Command is sending representatives. They'll be here any minute. Lyra's body relaxed as the last of the markers faded to dull outlines, no longer glowing. Her breathing steadied, and color returned to her face. It wasn't the purple tone from before, but a mix of purple and pink, creating a unique lavender shade that Noah smiled weakly as Olivia disconnected the transfusion tubes. He had given too much blood on top of the earlier extraction, and his vision was starting to darken at the edges. Her markers, Olivia said in wonder, they're gone. The human DNA sequence has overwritten the Vicarian control pattern. Krell tapped frantically at his wrist device. Impossible. The markers are permanent. They're engineered to resist any attempt at removal. He aimed the device at Lyra again, pressing a sequence of symbols. Nothing happened. The control signal isn't working, he said in disbelief. She's not responding to Vicarian commands. Lyra's eyes fluttered open. They were still violet, but now had visible pupils like human eyes. She looked first at Noah, then at Krell. There was no fear in her gaze anymore. I am free, she said simply. Krell's face contorted with rage. You belong to the Vicarian Empire. All Sethri do? Not anymore, came a new voice from the doorway. Director Porter entered, accompanied by Captain Green and several armed Earth officers. Commander Krell, your presence has been requested by your ambassador. Earth has made a formal complaint about your unauthorized search of our facility. Krell pointed at Lyra. This Sethri is Imperial property. These humans have damaged it. Captain Green stepped forward. Medical scans no longer identify her as Sethri. Her genetic structure has been altered significantly. She now registers as a human Sethri hybrid, a new species not covered by your claim. Krell's yellow eyes widened. That's not possible. Noah, fighting to stay conscious, spoke up. It is possible. And it can be done for other Sethri, too. Human DNA holds the key to breaking your genetic slavery. Porter nodded to the Earth officers who moved to escort Krell and his security team out. The diplomatic situation has changed, Commander. Earth is formally recognizing Lyra as a sentient being with rights. Your claim of ownership is denied. Krell resisted for a moment, then composed himself. This isn't over. The Empire won't accept this theft of property. He turned to Noah with hatred in his eyes. And we won't forget your interference, human. After they left, medical staff rushed in to tend to Noah and Lyra. Noah was quickly placed on a stretcher, barely conscious from blood loss. 3 days later, Noah woke in the medical bay of the science station. Olivia was checking his vital signs while Lyra sat beside his bed. Noah blinked in surprise at her appearance. Her skin was now a consistent lavender color, and her silver hair had streaks of brown. She looked like a blend of Sethri and human. "You're alive," Noah said with relief. Lyra smiled. "Thanks to you. The markers are completely gone? The Vicarians can't track or control me anymore." Olivia showed Noah a screen with DNA readouts. "It's remarkable. The human DNA sequences didn't just block the markers, they integrated with her genetic structure. She's genuinely a hybrid now, with traits from both species." "How are you feeling?" Noah asked Lyra. "Different. Stronger in some ways, still adjusting in others. But free." She touched her neck where the markers had been. Only faint outlines remained, like old scars. Captain Green entered the room. "Good to see you awake, Dr. Campbell. I have news. The Vicarian delegation has left Earth orbit, but not before issuing threats about property rights violations." "What happens now?" Noah asked. "Earth has granted Lyra refugee status and recognized her as a new species designation," Green explained. "The Science Council wants to understand exactly how the procedure worked. They believe it could help other enslaved species." Lyra took Noah's hand. "My people have suffered under Vicarian control for generations. If what happened to me can be replicated, it could free all Sethri." Noah sat up slowly, still weak but determined. "The procedure nearly killed both of us. We need to refine it, make it safer, but yes, I believe it can work for others." Olivia nodded. "We've already started analyzing the exact mechanism. Something in human junk DNA specifically targets and neutralizes the Vicarian control markers. It's like an ancient defense system built into our genes." In the following weeks, Noah recovered his strength while working with Olivia to perfect the treatment. Lyra learned to adapt to her new hybrid physiology, discovering she had gained some human traits while retaining Sethri abilities. Earth established a secret program to help other Sethri who might escape Vicarian control. The first sanctuary was built in a remote location, hidden from Vicarian sensors. 6 months later, Noah and Lyra stood together watching as the first escaped Sethri refugees underwent the refined treatment. The procedure was now safer, though still complex. One by one, the glowing markers faded from their skin as human DNA sequences broke the chains of their genetic slavery. "It's just the beginning," Lyra said, her violet eyes bright with hope. "Word will spread. More will come seeking freedom." Noah nodded, "And we'll be ready for them." He looked at Lyra, who had become more than just the first freed Sethri. She was living proof that freedom was written into the very essence of humanity, a gift they could now share with the galaxy. Together they watched as another Sethri opened her eyes, free for the first time in her life, her markers gone, her future, her own to choose. Commander Lisa Ward stepped onto the polished floor of the Grand Hall and tried to calm her racing heart. The Galactic Conclave space station hung in orbit around a neutral planet, its massive windows showing the swirl of stars beyond. Lisa straightened her formal blue uniform and watched as beings from across the galaxy moved through the hall. Some floated on gravity plates, others slithered on multiple legs, and a few looked almost human except for their colored skin or extra limbs. This was humanity's first invitation to the yearly Peace Summit, a sign that Earth was finally being accepted among the stars. Lisa had trained for this moment her entire career, but now that it was here, she felt the weight of 7 billion humans on her shoulders. The diplomatic mission had to succeed. Ambassador Paul Grant appeared at her side. His gray hair and lined face showed his 60 years, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. "Remember the briefing," he said quietly. "We make history today. First impressions matter more than you can imagine." Lisa nodded. "Still feels strange not having Admiral Rodriguez or any military staff with us." Paul's expression tightened. The conclave was very clear about that rule. No military personnel allowed at peace summits, only diplomatic representatives. "Seems like a security risk," Lisa said. That's a tradition, Paul replied. For over 300 years, no summit has allowed military presence. We follow their rules if we want a seat at the table. A soft chime echoed through the hall. Alien delegates began moving toward the central chamber. Paul took a deep breath. Here we go. Stay close and follow my lead. The central chamber took Lisa's breath away. A perfect circle with rising tiers of seats, it could hold representatives from 50 different species. Each delegation had its own small section with seats designed for their unique biology. The Earth section had standard chairs that looked out of place among the cushioned platforms, water tanks and hanging perches around them. The summit began with welcoming speeches in a common language that Lisa's translator rendered into English. Then came the formal introductions. Each species sent a representative to the center of the room to present their credentials and state their peaceful intentions. When Earth's turn came, Paul walked confidently to the center. I am Ambassador Paul Grant of Earth, he announced. We come in peace and friendship, seeking to join this honored community of worlds. Earth extends its hand in cooperation to all species who value harmony and mutual respect. Lisa watched the alien reactions, trying to read their body language. Most seemed neutral or mildly interested, but she noticed the delegation from the Dravari Collective. Their thin bodies and membrane-like skin flushed deep crimson as they stared at the humans. The lead Dravari rose from his seat, his long fingers trembling. The butchers of the Orion conflict dare show their faces here, hissed Ambassador Krell of the Dravari. His voice came through Lisa's translator with a tone of pure hatred. This is an insult to all peace-loving species. Paul looked confused. He glanced back at Lisa, who could only offer a helpless shrug. Earth had never engaged in any conflict called Orion. Humans had only established contact with alien species 3 years ago when the Centauri had discovered Earth's radio signals and initiated first contact. There must be some misunderstanding, Paul began. Earth has never participated in any interstellar conflict. We only recently developed faster-than-light travel. The Dravari ambassador made a sharp gesture that needed no translation? Disbelief. Your lies dishonor this assembly, he said. Several other species began murmuring among themselves. The Arcturian chairperson, a tall being with 4 arms and crystalline skin, raised her upper limbs for silence. These accusations are serious, but this is not the time or place. The Earth delegation has been properly invited and vetted. They will remain for the duration of the summit. Her tone made it clear the matter was closed. At least for now. The first day continued with presentations about trade routes and resource sharing. Lisa noticed how other delegates avoided looking at them when she tried to join a conversation. During the meal break, the aliens politely but firmly moved away. That night, in their assigned quarters, Paul paced the room. Something is very wrong. They're treating us like criminals, but we've done nothing. Lisa activated her secure tablet. I've sent a message to Earth Intelligence. Maybe they can shed some light on this Orion conflict. She looked out the viewport at the stars. Whatever it is, it happened before we even left our solar system. 3 hours later, her tablet chimed with an encrypted response. Lisa read it twice to make sure she understood. Intelligence has found something, she told Paul. Historical records from the Centauri database indicate that beings identical to humans fought in a brutal war 200 years ago in the Orion sector. They led something called the Terran Fleet. Paul stared at her. That's impossible. 200 years ago, we were still using steam engines and fighting with muskets. We didn't have spacecraft, let alone a fleet. I know, Lisa said, but the records are clear. Someone who looked exactly like us was involved in this conflict. And whatever they did, it was bad enough that species still remember it with fear and hatred. Paul sank into a chair. So that's why the Conclave bans military personnel from the summit. They're afraid of us. He looked up at Lisa. But if humans fought in a war 2 centuries ago, who were they? And why don't we know about it? Lisa's tablet displayed images recovered from alien historical archives. The soldiers wore uniforms unlike anything on Earth, but their faces could have belonged to anyone walking the streets of New York or Chicago. The intelligence team is digging deeper, but they say we should proceed with extreme caution. Whatever happened in the past, it's affecting our present. Outside their window, the endless stars glittered. Somewhere out there was an explanation, a truth that connected Earth to a conflict it had no memory of. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Their mission had just become much more complicated than a simple diplomatic introduction. Tomorrow, she said, we need to find out exactly what these aliens think we did. Paul nodded grimly. And why they believe we did it 200 years before we even had the technology to reach their worlds. Lisa checked that their room's security measures were active. If the aliens feared humans as warriors, she wondered what they would think if they discovered that Commander Lisa Ward of the Earth Diplomatic Corps had actually been a Special Forces operative before joining the diplomatic service. She had been chosen precisely because of her dual training. It seemed Earth's caution about sending unprepared diplomats into space had been justified. Though not for the reasons they had expected, sleep did not come easily that night.